up, YouTube? It's your boy Red Chaos One, and I am back with another video. So, are you a writer, possibly fantasy, sci-fi, or anything, who does world building? Are you one who wants to be a writer and you want to do some world building? And you saw the name of this video, The Pitfall of World Building, and you thought, hey, why don't I just check out that Red Chaos guy to hear what he has to say about it? Because if you're new, you can leave a like, you can you can subscribe to my little channel and help me, because I really want to reach 100 subscribers by the end of this year. And if I do, I will, as I have mentioned before, review the 6 BTS webcomics and web novels from Webtoon Wattpad that are gonna be coming out at the end of this year. So, not at the end of this year, sorry, by the beginning of January. That's when they're coming out, and I promise I am going to go through every single one of them, reviewing them continuously, because web novels, web comics, all those tend to be serials. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that if I reach 100 subscribers. So share the video. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Convince your friends to subscribe. Please, I need the more subscribers. I hope I'm not coming off as too needy and pushy. But other than that, I have a Discord, I have a Twitter. If you want to talk to me about what you thought about the video or any of my previous videos, you can go to the description below and you'll find the links to those. You'll also find the link to my book, Phantom Grid, which is the sponsor of my video. I don't know if it's possible for your own product to be the sponsor of your video, but my book is a sponsor. And as is the rule of YouTube, you have to check out my book. So, yeah. Now, let's begin on the topic of the pitfall of world building. So, world building as a topic is very complex on the matter of how much is too much world building, how much is too little world building, and even on the topic of immersion. Because I think one thing that we must dispel is the notion that having the best built world means you have the best story which people will read, because those two things are disingenuous to each other. Now, before I go on, I should give out the disclaimer about the people who this video, I think, are relevant to. If you're world building for fun, or world building for an RPG, tabletop, or just with your friends, that kind of thing, this one isn't relevant to you, because, well, you're mainly going to be focused on world building already in that. Though, if you're building an RPG, maybe it's dependent on people who make those, because I don't have that much knowledge on RPGs, so I can't say much about them. My little video here is focused mainly on authors, web novelists, or even just general authors. So, world building is fun. Like, you're creating an entire world. You can put anything you want, any culture, you can make it unique, and it's easy to get lost in it. To get lost in the small minutiae of details of what you want to add, and it can have a pitfall. So my pitfall, which I'm talking about world building, is that there is too much world building as a writer. So there are two examples that I'm going to bring up for the pitfalls of world building. The first one are the writers who put too much emphasis on world building before they've actually started writing their story. Now, that isn't to say that you shouldn't do some world building before you write your story, or that you have to finish your world building before you write the story, or that you can't world build while writing the story. But there are people who focus so much on world building that they forget that what gets people interested in that world building in the first place are the stories, the characters who they relate to, who they like. That gets them invested into the world, the story itself. You can't focus too much on world building before you start a story. You can have the best made world, but if you haven't put pen to paper to write your story, then no one will care. I mean, not no one will care. There are people there who are interested in just decently built worlds that they can be invested in. But if you're a writer trying to write a book, then those people aren't your target audience. Because I've seen people who have spent years world building. They want to go the token route of spending years world building before writing the story. Here's the thing where it comes into also my second example. The people who make so much of the who've written so much of the world building that most of that stuff isn't even necessary for the story. Like you've seen those books where you can have entire pages dedicated to just info dumping you on the world. Look, most of that stuff is unnecessary and audiences do not care. No matter how great the world you've built is, when you're writing it, some stuff is going to end up on the cut. It's going to end up getting cut. And the stuff that matters won't the stuff that matters that's relevant to the story is what you must focus on. Now, I know many people think they can be Tolkien, they can be Brandon Sanderson. Look, those guys, I have my respect for them, but those guys also understood that a lot of the world building stuff has to be relevant to the story. And even then, there's some points in their stories where you can find stuff that's excessive. Take Tolkien, for example, the father of world building. This isn't to insult the Lord of the Rings or the other books that he's written. This isn't to insult the man. But there are some things that I would have gone without knowing that weren't necessary for the read, that weren't necessary for my entertainment with the story. And I know that this topic is also is very much based on someone's personal preference. But I'm just saying, most authors, like I said with the first example, spend way too much time world building before they start even writing the story. Others will write the story with the world building, but they'll put so much unnecessary stuff into it that it will just put people off. And those are the pitfalls of world building. Now, for the first option and the second option, my best advice for most people, if you have that kind of problem where you just focus way too much on the world building and maybe you don't have enough time to get to the actual story you want to write, or you want to put so much in and you want to write the story at the same time and it's not flowing well because you're just fitting entire chunks of the story with unnecessary stuff, my advice is to get beta readers. People who will help you. In the first example, they'll tell you, okay, you can stop writing now, get to the story. And if you're doing the second example, a beta reader can read through your transcripts, your manuscripts, your first drafts, your second draft, your third drafts, with all that world building stuff. And as a reader, because remember, when us authors write our stuff and we read them, we have different expectations or different thoughts than your average reader. When your reader reads it, they'll tell you pointedly, they'll tell you, okay, this is unnecessary, this is unnecessary, this is nice, this is nice, this is unnecessary, maybe you could put this here. And don't just have one beta reader, have multiple of them so that they can give you a general idea of what they're doing. Maybe you could even hire an editor, because I know there's some people online who do editing of books and they could help you with that. I know the topic can be quite difficult to handle because world building is such an important part of fantasy and sci-fi, and every time you even take any kind of look at being a fantasy or science fiction writer, the first thing people will tell you is you have to world build. You have to world build. And you do have to world build. It's necessary if you're building a new world. But sometimes people over focus on world building instead of the actual story or how to implement that world building, because a lot of stuff gets left at the chopping board. But if you're interested in just world building for fun, or maybe that you can world build some stuff that won't be in your books, but maybe they'll be in just for you in order to help you with understanding how your story flows, then yeah, you can world build a lot. But yeah, this is all I just have to say. I mean, I know this topic, I meandered everywhere because this is just me shooting from the heart, a little bit of a rant, because maybe I've just seen way too many people waste too much time world building stuff that isn't necessary while forgetting that there's stuff that's necessary. Like some stuff some stuff you have to look the stuff that's relevant for the story. Like I said again, stuff that's relevant for the story. Maybe you can keep some stuff for another installment of your story, another volume, another book, or something like that. But yeah, world building is kind of a tough topic in that sense. I just wanted to say this. I'll very much be glad to hear your opinion. You can leave a comment, or you can come to my Discord. Like I said, you can talk to me there, or you can come over to my Twitter and we can talk. So yeah, this has been Red Chaos One signing off, and a Merry Christmas to you all.